Do we have a sense of enough for now? And then we want to take a look at the next question. I see Nicole's gone off camera. I read the first one. Are you willing to read the second one, Michelle, while everyone else is getting settled?
Sure. I don't imagine I will live to see the revolution. I smile at the arrogance of this, that we imagine that our work begins and ends with us. When you consider what is written here, how is it settled in you, the idea that our expressions of feminism are part of the continuum in which we may not live to see the benefits? Does it help to fuel your commitment, or does it lead to mourning?
Thank you, Michelle.
That's a powerful question, Leonie. My goodness. That sounded, I was like, oh, that was a deep one. That was a deep one. I'm glad you asked Michelle to read it too, because, you know, I was thinking about how I can't help but do this, you all, because I'm a writing teacher first and foremost. And so I've noticed our writing. So it's like the tone of it. I was like, it's so beautiful, first and foremost. But secondly, like I see this kind of, I can't necessarily see distinctions as much anymore in like the way we're writing about these topics when we share. And so anyway, I just connected you and Michelle with that when I was like, that's a Michelle kind of question too. So it was just beautiful, Leonie, and definitely a your kind of question, doing the work you do. So it's just beautiful seeing this kind of merging. But I in particular love when she says that. It was so powerful for me. You guys, I was just like underscoring, boxing that in my book, because that is the reality and the conditions of, you know, our time as people who are trapped. We are free and yet unfree. Our liberation projects have not, you know, come to completion for us. And so that's this kind of notion of, you know, of the work that we do. But I think I love how Cherríe Moraga here is calling first and foremost for genealogy. She makes me think about my Black woman, soulmate academic, Dr. Carmen Connord, whom I love so much, who she always talks about, you gotta know a genealogy, right? You don't just start in the middle of something or at the end. There's a genealogy and you gotta get familiar with that, right? And so like Cherríe Moraga is saying, like, none of this is new.
Nope.
The desire for revolution is not new. There were so many of our foremothers who wanted this, who worked on behalf of this. And we do ourselves a disservice not knowing their plights, not understanding, you know, the blueprints, not going back and doing the work. And that's why I love that we come together here, because this is a public pedagogy. This is also a way that we're teaching other. We don't have a whole lot, you know, we're not wealthy women and you know, but this is what we can give, and this is our offering to humanity. We're all collectively here teaching people and you know, and learning ourselves. So it's not, you know, a hierarchy there. So I just love that, and I just think we should, you know, accept that call daily. As she's saying, do I think that I'm going to live to see the revolution? No. But I promise you, having learned more and then having hope for the future generations is helping me make it through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think for me, you know, knowing that we're not likely to see the ultimate in revolution, It does. It brings up a mixed bag of emotions for me, happy and sad. But I think, I always like to do the best that I can to ground myself in reality. And, today is Malcolm X's birthday and Lorraine Hansberry's birthday and two mid-20th century actors who themselves came in, when and where I entered, came in at a particular point in our long story. And, so I think that the reality is, a part of it is just life. It's just nature. And the more we can accept nature for what it is, the more we can get in line with it, roll with it. And I think when I put on my management hat, I just want to say that I think a lot of times we don't really know how to embrace the complexity of various problems. I think all the things that we're seeing with this global pandemic, particularly in the United States, but even around the world, are just a textbook in so many lessons about what to do and not to do to solve a problem. And so we're actually looking at and living through a situation where we have a president in the United States who absolutely refuses to accept reality, who absolutely is incapable of handling the complexity of the reality of this virus. And that failure, that abysmal failure, is costing lives, and we're still counting, and we don't know when we're even going to see the end, because he's making it so much worse than it has to be by his refusal to accept reality. And so I want to go back and say, I think something like slavery, to me, is an unresolved issue. When you can say to a group of people, get your black ass back to the meat packing plant, I don't give a damn what risk you have to take, then you are not free. When you have to make a choice between your health, your life, and your livelihood, you're not free. So, I think that as a people, particularly as we have been placed on these shores, we have been dealing with extremely complex scenarios, extremely complex. And we want an answer, like Donald wants an answer. I want this to be over. We're back. But we're not back. We're dying. So you can wish that we're back all you want, but that is a very different thing from actually solving the problem. So I think in a comparative way, when you look at the issues that the Black community has had to deal with, we can read a book that was published first in 1981, because we ain't solved the problem yet. So I think maybe because my daddy was a preacher, I grew up with a religious background. I think that I have always had a sense of we're here to do some work. We're here for some purpose. We are just a part of the tapestry, and we do ourselves honor. We do our people honor. We do our family honor when we connect, when we're able to identify our truest and highest purpose, and just add to the river what we have to add. So I feel good and I feel joyful when I feel like I'm in alignment with my purpose.
Thank you. Kim, say something.
Well, I look at the word revolution and I think of the word coup, that there have been many coups that have failed. And I think that we are experiencing a failed one, especially in this country. That, you know, we thought that with the Black president that we had started something and that was the fruit of a revolution. And it turned out that what was waiting for us right behind that, you know, you just might as well admit it, that the Republicans and Donald Trump has kicked our ass. That you know, when you look at the greed of the 1% and how they are even greedier than I guess the 10% was in slavery times, that it's a whole new beast. And so I think the word revolution is so misleading, that there's going to be this big fight and we're going to win. Yay, and I'm going to be here when we win. But I don't think so. I think it's more like chess, where they make a move, we make a move. We make a move, they make a move. And at some point, we have to, as a community, start to better predict their moves and have alternatives to because I think we all know how to hit them where it hurts, but we haven't done that. So maybe that's what the revolution is implied, that at some point we will align our gifts and our talents and our resources and, you know, crush them, crush the oppressive system that we're under. But even if we did, the next day they would start to rebuild it. So I look at it as this continuum, and I don't feel that it increases my commitment or it has left me mourning. I think that what has me mourning is when there are these disasters like this virus, and that impacts the same people who are so oppressed and beat down. You know, so I was listening to a speaker talk about how the virus in the Bronx, for example, here in New York, because so many people have asthma and there's only one hospital in a certain radius, that and so many people live on top of each other, that if the illness gets mixed in with poverty and oppression, it is just so deadly. So when the mayor here and the governor here are saying, we're going to investigate why Blacks and people of color are dying more, it's just like, get the hell out of here with that. So I just feel like it is an eye-opener, and we just have to keep taking whatever actions we can take. And I don't feel like I'm mournful. I just feel like the weight of what needs to be done when a national disaster hits oppression, it's a steeper hill to climb, but I don't fear that we can't do it.
Yeah, I just want to say, Kim, talking about when disaster hits a hurting people, you know, they've been exporting people to Haiti. It's what I heard on Democracy Now!
What? I didn't. What? People with the virus are being exported to Haiti?
Yeah.
They're moving. They're moving undocumented people. They're sending them back to Haiti, and they're not checking. They don't. It doesn't matter if they have the virus or not. They're sending them back to Haiti.
Yeah.
And these are Haitians that they're sending back to Haiti?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we knew that was the next front, right? Which is why I could never co-sign the idiocy of the ADOS, you know, because like I get the grievance. I understand that there are grievances. I get that there are grievances, but what I don't understand when we talk about these descendants of slavery, and the descendants are those who are still bearing the yoke of colonialism, right? That's so problematic, because we knew once, you know, they were shackling it and putting brown people in cages, Black is next, right? I mean, we saw kind of like that dominant figure of Latinos being captured, and those vulnerable and children, right? But we knew that those immigrants, the African diaspora, you're like, it was going to happen. It's an attempt to whiten America, and we know and understand this to be so. And so you know, so that's why I just could not get with, like, we have to talk about grievances. M. Jackie Alexander, she talks about you know, these kinds of rifts, you know, that they're what they call the diaspora wars. But there's a way to talk to our family members, even if we say, you know, the fictive kin, our diasporic kin. But it's just, we knew it was going to happen, and then, and it is absolutely right. Like, there's no way around it. It is absolutely a measure or an assessment or a way to bring about death, and a way to measure and assess, like, how these other nations whose infrastructures are already weak or vulnerable already are going to handle that. We already know the outcome. And so that's why I like the thematics of this book, where Moraga and Bambara and all the writers are saying, you know, we keep looking back to look forward, right? Because we know these outcomes. We know the outcome. Oh, and I wanted to speak her name, the Orange Juice, and Latasha Harley. That's who I was thinking of. Yeah.